If you like to go shallow, tonight's show is dedicated to you. This style of fishing allows you to spread out and cover ground slowly. Tonight, we're talking about wading here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We've got the absolute best fishing guides from around Texas. And Rick, we're doing something a little different with today's show, and you mentioned it in the beginning, but why don't you elaborate a little bit?
You know, Brie, wading is probably one of the most popular things to do in Texas, and I know that the Sims Wader Company sells more waders in the state of Texas than all of the other states combined. That's how crazy they are about getting out of the boat. Wow. So I'm really looking forward to our techniques from our guides tonight and to see what they have to say. Yeah,
it's going to be a good show. Well, we've got Chef Taylor Sanders in the studio cooking up something delicious. Look at her over there. And Dave Ferrell is at the CCA workbench as always. He's going to show us some of those wading moves, aren't you, Dave?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Some of those wading moves.
Yes,
just like
that's what you got to do.
My
God.
Scare
all of them away. Well, our first,
yeah, I was doing a monkey.
Yes, you were. Our first captain is waiting patiently. So let's get Chad Kinney on the line for some offshore and inshore insights.
I tell you what, got some great stuff here, especially waiting. That's my favorite. Lower Laguna Madre is known for that. So starting out the flats here on Lower Laguna Madre, they've been producing good numbers of redfish and some trout mixed in there on the flats. And then offshore, finally some weed lines have showed up out there, guys. We found some good weed lines out deeper, producing good numbers of wahoo and dorado. So starting out with that wade fishing, it is the best way absolutely to target the fish down here. If you haven't been in Lower Laguna Madre, definitely come check it out. It's really pristine. It's a great way to do it. This really allows you to be more stealth when approaching the fish. I mean, you're not pushing a big boat behind you or anything else like that. And you also cover more water, and by being able to cast at different angles and keep the lure in the water longer than you are drifting. So actually you get to cover a lot more when you're doing that, and you're a lot more stealth in the deal. When you get out there, spread out your anglers and keep them, pace. Get your guys all lined up. Don't have one guy starting out there way in front of you. You get the bite going off, slow down and go ahead and stay on those fish. And the most important thing about when you're wade fishing out there, have the power poles with you, and have your guy with the lanyard with the remote on it right out in the middle of it, so I can walk down that boat 50, 75 yards from the boat, have it drift to me, keep on pushing down the row, and it makes it just really, really great. And if you're waiting some drop-offs also like that, then go ahead and slow down your depths and stuff like that, work the depths off the drop-offs and stuff like that. Got a really cool picture here. We just went out there today, and I got a picture of one of my wade fishing clients out here out of Port Mansfield. You can see it slick, calm, pristine. It's just beautiful.
All right, let's talk about some trout and redfish, bub.
Yeah, trout and redfish, like I said, they're showing up in the flats of Laguna Madre. Still, wade fishing the best way to do this stuff. Look for bait flipping early. Redfish are pushing wakes out there now on the flats. It's a lot easier to see them in the morning when it's flat like that. Definitely, like I said, use a power pole to get you down and get out there and wade. But use the most productive right now in the redfish are 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce weedless gold spoons. Rapala skidder walks are working really good in the morning. And then saltwater assassins are really working good. I've used everything this past week on the sea shads from like Trump, plum and chartreuse, woodpecker, and Texas roach. And it's just working great. Got a picture here of a really good solid trout and a good redfish here with guy waiting here.
There you go.
Moving to the offshore. Blue water, like I said, it's moving in. The weed lines finally showed up. I was wondering if they were going to show up. We've got sargassum out there, so that in hand comes with some good numbers of dorado and wahoo along these rips. So the dorado and the wahoo being good numbers out there. We found those weed lines just past the 100-fathom curve, actually starting at about 900 to 1,300 feet. And I expect these weed lines to actually show up shallower as September goes along like that. Whole cedar plugs and feathers works really good with that stuff. Also, naked ballyhoo works really well. Or if you want to put a chin weight rig, works really good. Work those patches with the most bait or action on it. If you're targeting the dorado, use a little bit lighter tackle maybe in monoliters. Maybe go down to 25-pound main and like a 50-pound leader on there and go with that. Got a picture of an average-sized dorado there that we're picking up off those weed lines and good numbers of them. And then also moving over to the wahoo, like I said, they're mixing with these dorado along these weed lines out deep. So we find them the same depth like that. We're hitting those on the Rapala purple divers. That's my favorite color, pulling about 8 knots. Make sure you got the wire leader going there. Also, we had some pretty big ones on those rig ballyhoo and stuff like that, islanders also. And also keep an eye out for the bait, keep working at. You'll find out where they're concentrated at and kind of work up there. And to put a lighter drag in those wahoos so you don't rip the lips off them, or if you get them hooked on the side, they hit so fast it won't rip it out of their side on that, do like that. So we got a picture of a nice average-sized wahoo too on that on those weed lines out there, but they're there.
Sounds like some good eats there, bub. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the lower coast hotspots. Chad says inshore, the flats on the lower Laguna Madre are producing good numbers of redfish and some trout mixed in. And then offshore, has finally showed up the weed lines out in deep producing wahoos and dorados, just like his report, Brie.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, next up is your guide, Matt Reed, in the YETI Lower Coast region, who's always good for a few lake reports. And this week, we're talking about Lake Travis, Buchanan, Lady Bird, Fayette County, Somerville, and Falcon, Matt. So let's not dilly-dally and get to it.
Let's get it rolling. You know, to touch on the wading subject, there's not much wading at the lakes in the south region. I mean, about all you have is at the state parks and public parks around the lakes, but everything else is private land. So look for those parks and get out there, and you can get in the water and catch you a few. Let's move on to the largemouth bass. Start off at Lake Travis. Early in the morning, they're biting top waters really well around the steep rock bluffs. About 10 o'clock in the morning, you need to move out on the hardwoods and trees, also around the boat docks. Take a Texas rig crawl worm or a shaky head trick worm around that type of structure, and you can catch you quite a few fish. Lake Buchanan, fish are shallow. Flip the shallow trees for a big bite. Creature-type bait will do that, Texas rig. Also, you can get bit on a frog around that flooded brush. Lady Bird Lake in Austin is fishing pretty decent right now. Take a jig, fish around any type of cover you can find, even around the big boats that are moored in the marinas and stuff. There's fish hiding in the shade around that type of cover. Just throw it anything you can find with that jig, and the bite's been pretty good lately. Moving on up to Fayette County, it's been pretty much hit or miss this week. There's a little bit of schooling activity around the dam early in the morning, but that's been very intermittent. The offshore groups of fish have been pretty finicky. Best way to catch them has been on a drop shot or a very light Carolina rig. Use small size soft plastics on either one of those presentations, and you've been able to get more bites that way. Lake Somerville has been pretty good early in the mornings along the rocky shorelines and the brush piles. Use small crankbaits or finesse-type worms to get the most bites. There's been quite a few big ones caught cranking over there lately. Down at Falcon, fishing's been great this week for numbers. 50 fish days are very common. Actually, today our best five would have weighed over 40 pounds with one over 10. So, I mean, we had a great day today. Catching most of those fish on a big crankbait or, Carolina rig type soft plastics and drop shots. But fishing's really good down here in the summer. Even though it's hot, you can stand it when they're really biting.
Tell me about the photo here, bub.
That's Craig Alexander, a customer of mine from the other day with a big old Falcon special.
That is a Falcon special. All right, let's talk about white bass and hybrids.
All right, Somerville, the whites and hybrids are scattered in deep schools. Best way to catch the big hybrids is on live bluegill. Free lining them out there. You can also catch the whites on little spoons and that type of stuff. Lake Buchanan is the whites, hybrids, and stripers are all mixed in and schooling all over the lower end of the lake every day right now. Get out there with a small swim bait or top water or shad color crankbait, and it's just a blast. You can load the boat in a hurry.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. You can tell me about this photo real quick.
That's just a picture of a nice mess of white bass. You can always have you a good meal that way.
All right, bub. Thanks for loading us up on the vittles. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh hotspots. He's saying Lake Buchanan, white bass and hybrids are biting extremely well. They are schooling on the surface and lower parts of the lake every morning. Topwater, spoons, and shad-colored crankbaits will get the job done, Bree.
All right, Rick, we're headed over to your Upper Coast region next. But first, Dave Ferrell, the CCA workbench, is talking rigs and techniques. Besides your...
I'm having some moonshine.
Is that some moonshine? I was going to ask for some wading tips, but...
You probably need some moonshine to get Murphy into the water.
Yes, you would. That is a wading tip, rigs and techniques.
That's what this is for.
Daddy don't do.
This is the moonshine.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. The American Fishing Tackle Company. Any fish, any water. Since 1958. Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist. and CCA Texas, a leader in marine conservation.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Outside is a bully. There are bears, screaming fleet-footed waters, arrogant mountains, Goliaths, 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 and 100 other excuses to stay inside. But there are ways to deal with bullies.
CCA is the largest marine conservation group of its kind, with 70,000 members in Texas. CCA's mission is dedicated to conserve, promote, and enhance the present and future availability of our coastal resources for the benefit and enjoyment of the general public. So if you care about the health of our Texas coastal resources, join CCA today by going to their website, ccatexas.org, and help them make a difference. Use the promo code REDFISH to receive your free hat with your membership. CCA, the leader in marine conservation.
Well, we're here at the CCA workbench. Man, I get
Yes.
into that. That's a cool song. I'm over here playing the air guitar amongst my wading techniques.
Yes, we got a lot of stuff here.
Go ahead.
Well, you know, wading is the best way to go fishing, in my opinion. I love to get into the water and, you know, be one with nature and see the sun coming up. You know, to me, it's the best way to do it. And you know, when you're going to start in a place, you know, you call around a little bit and find out the best places to do it, because usually it's pretty popular. Most people know about it because it's really accessible to most people. So you're looking for a flat that's got a semi-solid bottom that you're not going to sink into, that's anywhere between 6 and, you know, up to your waist, how you're comfortable. You know, you can wade from, like I said, from 6 inches all the way up to your armpits if you're comfortable doing it.
Right.
In Texas, the fellas are always going to use, you're going to use a long rod to make, you know, good long casts.
7-6.
Yeah, and a bait casting reel.
Right.
In Texas, you're going to use a bait caster, and you can use that to cast topwater plugs, any kind of search baits you want to use. Just about anything you use from the boat, you know, to catch a trout or a redfish is the same deal. When you're wading, though, because you're in such shallow water, I got this little tip from Caleb. One of the things that he likes to do is he likes to use a lot smaller weight, like a 1/16 ounce jig head and a little mirror lure, Little John.
Some type of soft plastic.
Yeah, and that light weight, the lightest he can get away with making good casts, keeps the bait in the strike zone for a lot longer if it's a small weight. Now, when you're going to go wade fishing, a lot of guys will pick a pair of waders out to go, especially if you're going to go in the wintertime from, let's say, October till the end of May or whatnot. About 75 to 77 degrees is about as cold as I'll get. If it gets any colder than that, I'm putting waders on. Otherwise, about June through October, you can just go with a pair of pants on. You know, these are really nice, and you can spend as much money as you want to on waders, or you can go to a discount store, fishing, you know, place, and a lot of times, Academy, a lot of times they'll have really cheap plastic ones, you know, like for $10. And if you're not going to be wading every day for a season, you can get away with buying some really cheap stuff. Now, if you're going to be doing this a lot, you get what you pay for.
Right.
Sims and these Fentons and some of the Magellans and whatnot, they'll run anywhere from $60 to $300 for a pair of them. But the more you spend, the longer they'll last.
Right, and they're sock style, so you put your shoe on.
Correct.
Or
You
get
can
a
put
wading shoe.
A wading boot is probably the preferable, like these from Soft Science. I really like these because they have the strap at the top and a zip on the outside of the boot instead of on the inside.
So easy because you bend down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Correct.
I love it being on the outside.
And if you can't afford a pair of wading shoes, I've waded a lot of miles in an old pair of Converse tennis shoes. And you use a pair of Converses or something like that because they're a high top tennis shoe. Doesn't matter what kind it is, but it's a high top so you can lace it up real good. Otherwise, you start leaving shoes in soft mud and whatnot.
So Dave, how do you carry your tackle when you're wading though?
Well, usually you'll have a little belt on you, like one of these from CCA. This is an old one that I've had for a long time, and it comes with a little pocket here that you can put your.
Oh, you can build your own little tackle tray.
Little tackle box. I would prefer to use a waterproof tray.
Right.
Make sure you spend a little bit more money and get a waterproof tray. Everything you have should be to keep from getting in the salt water and getting rusty. Like if I was going to bring a lipper, I would use a plastic lipper. This is one of the instances I would use. I'd use plastic stuff. If you can get pliers that are synthetic pliers that are long, you can use those. When you're going to be in Texas, you're going to want to use a big stringer because you're going to be catching a lot of fish to eat. But if it's in the summertime, that's a 24-foot stringer. It's another thing that Caleb said. When you're there in the summertime, you want to use the longest stringer as you can get away with, Dave? Because there's sharks there. And if the shark comes to eat your stuff, you want to be a good long way away from it when he starts chewing on it. And don't tug on the fish and get a tug of war started with the shark when he's wanting to eat them. Go ahead and let him have it. Because if you start pulling on it, you're just pulling him into you. You're just pulling him right to you. It's like casting a chug bug in front of an alligator, and you're pulling the chug bug to you. The alligator's getting closer and closer and closer. So use a long. This is a 24-foot stringer, and that'll keep you from getting it. I found these the other day in Academy. These are little carbiners, S-beaners, and whatnot. You can put these things all over your belt and attach all your stuff to it, because when you're standing in the water, the last thing you want to do is drop your pliers or your knife or whatever. That's good advice. That's good advice. And this one even has a little side lock on it. And I got these at Academy. Really cool little carbiners and whatnot.
Good job. You really did your homework tonight. I like it.
Well, Brie,
yes.
You have to take us to another region, please.
Yes, I do. Captain Bink Grimes in the Middle Coast region is in line now with some tips on how to keep cool in the August heat. So, Bink, let's hear it.
Yeah, we know in Texas, August heat is pretty hot. It seems to get hotter every year. This time, we love wading. Lots of customers have been choosing that route. It's been a good summer in West Bay and the Mud and Shell in East Bay. And, man, the guts and bars and the surf's been awesome, too. Few things rival, early morning topwater blow up on a she dog or a she pup or rapala. That scare of that sharks and the Vibrio bacteria kept a lot of people in the boat for years, but a lot of them are starting to get back in the water, and do that one-on-one interaction, that wading presents. The sharks and the bacteria, it's always been there, but kind of the media hype has kind of kept a lot of people off the water, kind of like Jaws did back in the day. My wadefish book I wrote in 2004. It hit sales, past 10 years, but it's making a comeback for a lot of years. A lot of people wasn't waiting, but man, they're starting to do it again. So that's great. The August surf, it gave up last week. It gave up a lot of trout. There's a lot of trout still out there in those bait camps. They're recording record sales of croakers right now because a lot of people are choosing that live bait in the first gut. Then, however, the noisy topwaters, they're getting the job done to trout to 5 pounds on the incoming tires. And the waders they're tossing live finger mullet in the surf, and those boaters are tossing croakers and live shrimp, and also throwing 51M mirror lures in the 808 colors. Mid-Bay reefs in East Bay are turned on last week. I tell you what, it's green in East Matagorda Bay, and when it's green, you got a really good chance of catching a trout 8 pounds or better.
And that happened last week on Sheep Pups, Super Spooks, Down South Lures, Bass Assassins. And a lot of people are rigging those DOA shrimp under corks, and they work well around Half Moon Reef, Three Beacon Reef, and Long Reef. And then the drifters have found good fish on live shrimp under popping cork around Boiler Bow, Raymond Shoals, and the Oyster Farm. A lot of fish being caught on voodoo shrimp as well. Then over at Bay Flats Lodge in Seadrift, San Antonio Bay, man, it's been hot with light winds. Wading those live baits, posted up on the edge of the reefs on croakers and finger mullet. I've been getting it done. Then the waders closer to Cedar Bow, they found those fish in the guts on the soft plastics like corkies. And then at Rockport, those anglers are working the edges of the ICW on live shrimp and piggy perch, and they're also throwing those DOA shrimp as well. There's a photo there, a nice photo of 8-year-old Ben Abelson. He got a 28-inch trout there. He caught with Captain Trey Pry out of Sargent. That's pretty cool, catching it out of that little donut he's got. Pretty cool.
That looks good.
Yeah, we used to have friends do the same thing with their kids. That's how they took them wading, you know. That was a pretty cool deal. Inshore redfish, man, seas rough around the jetty, but there's good catches coming in Matagorda, Freeport, and Port Aransas. Those redfish are showing around Espiritu Santo Bay on soft plastic. The Back Lakes and Port O'Connor are giving up redfish as well. In West Matagorda Bay, Brett Sweeney, he's been getting limits of redfish. Albert Garrison's doing the same, working the grass lines with shrimp. Kendall Kerr said birds are working along the edge of East Matagorda Bay, gold spoons, gulps, down south lures. More reds are showing on the shorelines with the higher tides, and we're starting to see kind of a fall pattern with the higher tides. Then the bull redfish, they're moving to the Gulf and showing up right on the beach and at the jetty. A lot of people are throwing crabs and mullet and cracked peeled table shrimp, doing real well on them. We'll go offshore. Kingfish, Freeport guy Mike Segal said real charters. Kingfish bite's been good. State waters, larger kinks have been found around the Gulf boats while trolling on Spanish mackerels. They're hanging around with the kings as well. Matagorda, Michael Quebeca, he's seeing the same thing with kingfish all over the place. He's still chasing shorefish out there, and towelfish about 60 to 80 miles off the beach. And then Port Aransas, kind of an offshore hub. The Dolphin Dock's been doing well on kings, amberjacks, and tuna. So got about 2 weeks left of summer, so we're pretty excited. And, fewer people on the water now because of school starting, so we're enjoying it.
All right, thank you so much, Bink. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Middle Coast region. Bink says inshore, the trout are good in the surf on croakers and finger mullet while waiting. Top waters and croakers have been working early in the first gut. Bull redfish are good at all the jetties on crabs and on mullets.
All right, Rick, let's talk about CCA real quick.
Let's do.
CCA's National Habitat Program Building Conservation Trust provided $150,000 towards the Moses Lake Shoreline Protection and Marsh Restoration Project, which was completed the first part of August 2018. This project has constructed shoreline protection measures and wetland restoration techniques that will directly protect 1.3 miles of shoreline from further erosion and habitat conservation within the Moses Lake and Dollar Bay areas, which are considered a high priority nursery habitat for fish and shellfish species. They are doing so many things in Texas. It's absolutely amazing.
It is.
All over the place.
It is. They
Down
really
they
set the bar for all the rest of the CCA states. Good job, Texas.
We love you, CCA. Stay with us, Texans. We're headed inland to the middle and upper fresh regions and seeing what the lovely Chef Taylor is cooking up for us next. Look at her. Looks yummy, smells pretty good.
There she
and remember,
is.
for all things fishing in Texas, visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and view and tag us on Instagram. We will be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, always in the game. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. CCA Star, fishing fun for giant prizes and scholarships. And Costa Sunglasses. See what's out there.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system the all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the new manual spikes from Power Pole. They're the spikes that you drive yourself. Now they have a lot of great features, starting with the comfort grip handle. They also include 6 foot of rope and a lifetime guarantee. The 8.5 foot heavy duty spike is great for the larger boats like pontoons, bay boats. Now for you guys that like to anchor off the beach, this is a great application so you don't have extra rope out in the water. Our 8 foot ultralight is designed for boats up to 1,500 pounds and features the hollow core technology. Also, our 6 foot spike works great for kayaks and also for you tarpon guys. When you want to secure the bow and you don't want anything in your way, this is a great option, especially if you're fly fishing. Another great thing is the $100 rebate that's now on for the micro and the spike. So go to your local retailer, take advantage of that, and that's your Power Pole tip of the week.
So that was our Power Pole tip of the week, and we brought in our power player, Taylor Sanders. And Taylor, you won the Kids Barbecue Championship on the Food Network when you were 14 years old.
I did.
Way to go. But what are you gonna cook for me tonight? I love the fact that we're having something delicious.
We're doing tuna and we're doing a little spin on a burger. So we're doing a tuna burger with a goat cheese and roasted beet salad. So we have our beautiful tuna steak right there.
So how do you typically like to serve that? Medium rare?
I like mine, me personally, I like it to still be completely red inside, but I know some people are not about that.
I'm all about that.
So,
yeah, lukewarm is perfect.
Exactly. So I like mine pretty red inside. So we're gonna doctor that up and put some nice avocado mayo right on the bun. And this has some avocado and mayo and dill, and we're just gonna stick that right up on top of there, and then we're gonna make our quick little salad. So we have just some mixed greens and some roasted beets, red and yellow, just to make it colorful. Then we have some goat cheese balls that are just pretty, and it brings a nice tartness to the dish. Then I'm gonna add some blueberries right onto the top, a little bit of fresh mint, and then the same dressing goes perfect with this salad.
Come on, man. Are you kidding me? This looks so good. So let's talk a little bit about cooking fish, Taylor. What are the mistakes that people make?
Some people make mistakes by not putting enough oil in the pan, or even when you're grilling fish by not oiling your grill before you do it, and it can become a sticky mess, and that's not what you want to do when you have such a beautiful fillet like I had today.
So let me ask you, because I think that's where we get lost in translation quite often. You know, when you want to cook a good steak, I've always been told that you want to really get your grill really hot. So how would you approach your pan when it comes to the fish? Do you want it really hot first, or do you want to bring it up slowly with the temperature?
So definitely, as you can see, it's smoking, but I'm using a cast iron skillet in this instance because especially when you're cooking fish, you want to get that really nice sear on the outside. That's what makes it amazing. So I use my cast iron skillet because that's going to get extremely hot. And especially with tuna, like I said, I like it really pink inside, so it's only gonna take about a minute, minute and a half on each side to get that really nice sear to keep it really pink inside.
Now, tell me a little bit about some of your favorite types of seasoning to go with this? Is there things that, you know, because sometimes people don't like avocado, so what would be a good substitute?
I personally used mayonnaise in this, but me personally, I don't like mayonnaise. But you could also just use regular mayonnaise. For the tuna, I just seasoned it basically with some onion powder, some fresh cracked black pepper, and some salt just to keep it simple. But you could even spice it up and use some dill on it or any seasoning that's your favorite.
Just keep talking. So, you know, Taylor, we appreciate you coming in here. Oh my God, this is gonna be a whopper.
It's huge.
Bree, you're gonna have to go ahead and take us to the next region while I got some stuff to do.
Yeah,
here.
you've got some stuff to do over there.
Oh my
All right.
God.
I can't do this. Well, start our Middle Fresh region. Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn is calling your name, and Matt Loescher is on the line with your game. Hi, Matt.
Hey guys, how's it going today?
We're good. We're just
wade fishing.
Go ahead.
Sounds like you guys are eating some good stuff. I'm getting hungry over here listening to you.
We are. It's some good burger up in here. Go ahead. Start your report.
All right. So sorry about that. I'm going to talk about wade fishing first. You know, wade fishing in the Middle Fresh region can be a really rewarding deal. We've got a lot of opportunities for it. You know, it's a really freeing way to fish. You're limited, but it's a lot less to worry about. That being said, I'm going to recommend a few baits and a few areas that are really good for this type of fishing. And so first off on the areas, Cypress Bend Park at Toledo Bend is a great spot for walking and wading the banks. You know, there's a lot of underwater topography in that area that you can easily walk the banks and wade to. You know, underwater topography being flats, ledges, creek channels, points, humps, etc., that you can, you know, just wade out there and reach to a lot of different depths just right there from the bank. So that's a really neat, good area to do that. Another good area to try would be the Blue Lake area on Toledo Bend. Lots of shallow flats there that have a lot of pepper grass and other varieties of grass. There's fish that will live shallow there year-round. And there's a lot of access to easily wading waters in that area of the lake. You can literally wade for miles without going over chest deep and cover a lot of ground. A couple of baits to keep in mind that'll work not only in these areas, but virtually anywhere you go in the Middle Fresh region are going to be a Cajun lure prawn and then the Bass Assassin Pure Crawl. Those two baits cover both of the main forages in most of our lakes in the Middle Fresh region, and pretty much you can rig those baits to fit any mood that the fish might be in. And if I only had to carry two colors, it'd be watermelon red and June bug. So you can really cover the spectrum with those two and keep your load light while you're wading around out there. And then going into it a little deeper on Toledo Bend with the bass right now, they're still feeding shallow up in the creeks and on the river channel. And so you want to keep your boat out in those deeper channels and throw your baits into 1 foot or less. Even throw them up on the bank if you can. And then focus on any available wood cover and really fish that well, because the water's been falling a lot here lately. And so with the fish having limited options near those deeper banks, they're going to be in really predictable places like that shallow wood. So if something looks good, make sure you fish it hard because it's probably got a bass on it. Texas rig soft plastics are really best for this. The Bass Assassin Pure Crawl or the Skunk Ape and a June bug color has been best because the water's a little bit off color. So I like that June bug with that purple in it. I got a photo there to kind of exemplify what I'm talking about. You can see I got my little buddy Hagen Cooley there with a nice bass he caught. Just fishing creek banks, just like what I was talking about. You can see in the background the water's kind of down. There's not much cover, so focus on any of that wood that you would see in those creeks like that.
And the photo bomber.
And then, and the photo bomber. Yeah, I thought you did a good job with that one. I like throwing that in there.
Yeah.
So, and then over on Sam Rayburn, the black bass over there also still chasing topwater frogs on the calm days. And then they're eating the worms just pretty much all the time, whether you've got wind or calm days, sun or clouds, whatever. The fish have really concentrated them near the creek channels over there and in the backs of the creeks. And then on the main lake, they're around the deepest grass you can find. So stick to that deeper grass. The Stanley top toad and the Bass Assassin tap-out worms are my baits of choice over there right now. For the frog, I want to stick with a bright color on a bright day and a dark color on a dark day. So just kind of judge it that way. And then on the worm, the red bug is the way to go. They just really like that color over there. And there's also a ton of bluegill that are milling around in that same grass over there at Rayburn. So if you just want to get some kids out there fishing or just want some fast action, just from the bank or on the boat, get out there and just toss a cricket around under a cork or a strike indicator, as we like to call it, and get some fast action on some of that ultralight tackle. It's a lot of fun.
Great report this week, Matt. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Middle Fresh region hotspots. Matt says Toledo Bend, black bass are feeding shallow on soft plastics, and then Sam Rayburn, black bass are eating frogs and worms around the grass. Bluegills are plentiful in the grass as well.
Rick, you got some avocado on your shirt.
Do I really?
No, I was kidding. All right, now we've got your guide, Johnny Geis, in the Upper Fresh region, who is filling us in on Lake Fork and Alan Henry reports. So, Johnny, tell us about our fun-filled weekend ahead. I'm just jealous.
I know.
Hello, Rick. Bree, how are y'all today?
Good. How are you, Johnny?
I'm doing great. Well, this week, you know, our guides and captains are all talking about wading opportunities to catch fish. Well, up here in north region, most everybody fishes out of a boat of some type, but I'll bet most of our fishermen waded in the water to catch a fish at one time or other anyway. Most of our streams and creeks are full of fish up here, and we have abundance of farm ponds or tanks, what we call them here in Texas. Golf courses have some excellent wading opportunities, but I probably don't want to talk too much about wading on a golf course. but wade fishing can be a necessity on some of these small fisheries, or just another exciting way to get closer to those big old bass that hide in the thick cover. So I put together a few ideas and tips on wade fishing in our part of the region. First, number one, most importantly, you got to be sure you get permission to fish on private waters, either lakes or ponds or creeks that run through private land. But you can wade in tennis shoes and shorts in the warmer weather. A good pair of waders is a lot more comfortable, though, especially in the cooler weather. While wading, your feet are your only depth finder. So when you walk, you got to be careful and go slowly on the new waters, or you might find out it's over your head. Be careful when wading in the creeks, as the bottom may be silted in, and sometimes those creeks are a lot deeper than you think. It doesn't look like it's very deep, but in the creeks it'll be deeper, and you'll slip through the mud. So if you can't swim, wear a life jacket. And most important, number one, watch out for snakes at all times. Another tip from experience. So I did a lot of wade fishing on farm ponds, and as a kid growing up, most of those ponds, the upper ends are flats. They had a lot of good vegetation on them, and sometimes it's just easier to wade across the pond and fish than to go around the bank. But guys, isn't it funny how you always try to fish the shoreline when you're in the boat, but when you're on the bank, you try to throw out in the middle of the lake? It doesn't make sense. Well, usually the best holding areas are parallel to the shoreline or the weed edges. So by wading, you can fish right next to that edges and shoreline cover in a lot more productive water, and you can stay that way every cast by fishing parallel to the bank instead of trying to throw out in the middle of the pond. Any good spinning rod or casting rod is perfect for wade fishing. I sometimes even carry 2 rods while wade fishing for spawning bass. Good wading belt is a necessity, or some type of backpack or fanny pack, and that's about all you need to carry a few lures and tackle, mosquito dope for sure. Early springtime is the best time I found to wade and catch some real big bass. The bass spawn, and when the big bass spawn, they move in the shallows. They like to seek out that best thick cover to nest in, and many times you can't reach those areas from a boat. So we used to wade a lot on Toledo Bend when I was growing up on the east side of Toledo Bend, and we caught a lot of big bass in about a 2-mile stretch there that wasn't accessible by boat, just by wading in the spring. So the great baits to use while wading are top waters and plastic frogs. Since most of your baits would be shallow, I like to use those surface water baits for the best results. You got to move quietly and slowly and cast parallel to the shoreline to get the most bites. Wacky worms and Cincos are great baits too. Our dove season opens this weekend here in North Texas, and many sportsmen, they'll be out hunting areas that also have good ponds and tanks, so I thought it was a good time just to talk about fishing those as well. Take along a rod or two, and you may enjoy some great fishing while you're sitting there waiting on the banks, waiting for the birds to fly to come into water. Talk about Lake Allen Henry. I got a great report from Captain Philip Pooh with Gone Fishing Guide Service. It's out there right south of Lubbock, Texas. He's reporting excellent fishing on Lake Allen Henry. His trips are averaging about 35 to 50 bass right now. Most of the time he's finished up by noon. Both the largemouth and spots are schooled up so deep. They're schooled up deep, and they're feeding heavily on small shad. Philip's kind of reporting that he's seen 2 shad spawns this year on Allen Henry. The bass are gorging on those 1 to 3 inch shad, so small baits are better. The fish are holding 25 to 35 foot of water, and they are piled up. The big schools of shad usually is where you find the bass. They can be found near the rock ledges. Best lure has been a 1/2 ounce Johnson flutter spoon, jigging it vertically under the boat. He says his Lowrance Electronics blacks out schools of shad and the bass are right under them. That jig and spoon bite, he says, the best he's seen all year. It's not uncommon for all 3 anglers to hook up at the same time. So most bass are the 2 to 3 pound size, but they usually catch those 4 to 5 pounders each day. Phillips using a 3/8 ounce football jig to target the larger bass. Sure sounds like a great place to fish in late summer here in Texas, and any of our viewers that are near Abilene or Lubbock need to get out to Allen Henry and give that try as soon as possible.
Tell me about
the picture I've got here. This is one of his recent trips. Some pretty good size bass for West Texas for sure. And I never have to leave out Lake Fork. We're crappie fishing today. We had 26 good slabs by noon, and here's a picture of my sister with the one close to 2 pound. That's a pretty good size slab. So fish are biting in Texas, North Texas. It's time to get out and go this weekend.
Sounds like fun. Thank you so much, Johnny. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the upper fresh region. Our guide Johnny says farm ponds and tanks, largemouth bass are always biting on the ponds and in the tanks. Use a frog type of lure for the best results. Cast parallel to the shoreline for the most strikes, and watch out for those snakes. And then Lake Allen Henry. The bass are good on spoons. Topwater baits early. Texas rig 7-inch power worms, man. Come on, man.
Watch out for those snakes. That would not be good. I know, you just go.
Snakes or sharks?
Is that how you walk around snakes?
Yeah.
We've got your last captain in the upper coast region next year on the Texas Insider Fishing Report. But next up, we have some new product for Dave. Dave, take us. What are we showing over here?
Look, Dave, he's getting ready for the snakes.
If I had a big black mustache, I could star in Super Troopers too.
You could.
You looking Super Trooper.
If you want to look like Super Trooper 2, get those. We'll be right back, guys.
All right.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. YETI, built for the wild. Building Conservation Trust, CCA's National Habitat Program. StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
When you've got an incredible opportunity in front of you, you want a Yamaha VMAX SHO behind you. Just ask 2017 Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year, Brandon Polinick. He'll tell you, if you're an aspiring angler with big dreams and a VMAX SHO, there's no limit to what you could achieve. Light, fast, fuel-efficient V6 performance and Yamaha reliability that lets you focus on your game. Nothing pushes you like a Yamaha VMAX SHO.
And that's all we need. We need next quarter so we can postpone it to everyone.
Yeah? Stop working right now! Look outside. Is this spreadsheet weather? No, it's not. This is fishing weather. So stop clicking, get out there, and catch a bass. Stop what you're doing and start fishing Rapala Ripstop.
Thanks for tuning in to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes as well as special segments right on our homepage. Just head to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
So hey guys, I've always wanted to design a series of rods for the inshore enthusiast or even the light tackle guy, and Akuma has designed, with my help, the Ricky Red series. Now we took some of the advice from some of our experts from the Florida Insider Fishing Report and what we'd want to see in a saltwater design inshore series rod. Now red obviously is my favorite color, and that's why we made them red. But let's talk a little bit about the components and the thought process behind these new rods. Certainly 100% graphite rod from tip all the way into the butt. Now keep in mind the tips of the rods are designed for casting. And about halfway back through, The rod is designed from there to the butt. That's designed for pulling onto the fish. But what is very important is how you distribute that pulling power. Now, we've built these rods, the Ricky Red series, we've built with 10 guides, and a lot of companies out there use 7 or 8 or 9, but 10 is not necessarily what everybody or the standard, but we didn't spare any expense in building the Ricky Red series. Also, not only is it just graphite through and through, but we also have the Fuji reel seat that locks backwards, moving the reel back away from the tip, giving us a little more action when it comes to making a good cast.
Oh, he's jumping. The big shark after him.
Now understand, we took several blanks, probably 12 or so, and we created a series of rods that are, some of them are 7'6" for long casting. We have 7-foot spinning rods for accurate casting, and then we convert over into the plug and the conventional series. So the great part about these new rods is they can be found at some of the local retailers coming this fall. Really good looking rods. Look for the Ricky Red series at your local retailer. So Dave, you know, there you see the Ricky Red rods, and you can actually go to Akuma and then go and click Akuma Fishing USA and then click on the Ricky Red series, and you can buy them for $99.
I guess I'll have to do that because I haven't seen mine yet. So,
oh
anyway,
my God!
Sailfin from Soft. We got some good stuff here from Soft
CCA
Science.
Workbench.
Correct. These are
the ladies.
Yes, these are the sail fins, and they're fast draining, quick drying women's boating and sailing shoes. You know, anything around the water, perfect. They're very lightweight. That upper mesh has got the 5 eyelets and the synthetic laces, so you don't have to worry about them getting rotten on you. Non-slip outsole. You can remove the insole. It's the Trillion.
The eyelets don't corrode.
Correct.
And then you can
remove that and wash it if you need to. Holds the grip on any surface, wet or dry. And again, it's got the Trillion non-marking sole. So.
And just in case the guys that are wondering and they're looking, these are Brie's actual shoes.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
now you know her foot size.
Yeah, there you go.
Little.
Yeah, you can go and buy them for her. She would like that, I'm sure.
Send all the shoes, attention Brie.
Now, these are really cool. We're talking about weighting. These are from a company called Forever Last, and you go to foreverlast.com and find these are Ray Guard shields. They look like little things you'd put on when you're a kid for your catching.
Right.
They look like your shin guards. Well, you know, these things are shin guards for underwater. When you're out there wading, they're great for, you know, to keep a
I'm gonna step around. I want to show guys how this works. Sorry, I messed up our shot over there, but they go on like so.
Correct, and you can adjust them.
You can adjust them the way you want.
Obviously, for the guys with a giant calf or the guys with a little calf. But yeah, those will keep a stingray from punching a hole in you. You can wear those with your boots.
Yep.
And they actually, these guys, Forever Last, they also make good boots as well. So you can pair them up with a pair of those boots.
And you know, that's important, Dave, because you know, a stingray can ruin your day.
Yeah, for sure. You know, no boot's going to be, you know, 100% against every stingray, because there's actually some big stingrays that could probably hit you in the thigh, you know, if you step on them. But you know, these are good. These are a good first line of defense if you want to, you know. Besides shuffling your feet, get some of these, you'll feel a lot better about yourself, because you don't want to get hit by one. I'll tell you, it's a horrible, painful thing from what I understand.
Snake guards in the water.
Exactly. These are from Nomad Tackle, and you can go to nomadtackle.com to find these. These are called the Chug Norris, and which I really enjoy. He says they're tougher than the guy they're named after, and these are designed to be the ultimate popper. You know, they got that really big mouth, so with the least amount of effort you can get a really good chug on it. It stays in the water, it doesn't tumble, which is a horrible thing when you're trying to chug anything. When it starts leaving the water, you get angry. It's got and that ultra deep cup allows that. It's got the round bottom and a square top, holds it in the water. It's high density ABS plastic. It's the strongest per weight that they can get. It's filled with foam, so it makes it even more strong. It's stainless through wire, super strong BK hooks.
Not a typical snap ring.
No, exactly.
It's a solid ring.
Exactly.
So.
It's very. They're made. You know, they're made in Australia. They're made to catch very strong, big fish, and I can't really wait to use those. Can't wait to use them. Real quick, we got the Costa Canaverals that I was wearing at the break. These are the large aviator themes, squared off frames, built with the strong titanium on the sides, on the front frame. Ultralight with the Hydrolite nose pads so that they're very comfortable. And they also got the Hydrolite temples. It's titanium on the temples as well. So they're very strong. You don't have to worry about bending them all to pieces because they're titanium. Those are the satin blacks and grays, and they come in a lot of different colors.
So guys, if you think I look good in these, y'all need to send me an email. Tell me to get me some.
We'll get this Yeti stuff.
We'll get the Yeti next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, Brie.
You look good in those glasses.
Thanks, Brie.
Yeah, sure. If you want wade fishing in the Upper Coast region, your guide has got it. Captain Caleb Harp knows a thing or two to help you out. Close us out, Caleb.
That's it. Well, you know, when it comes to wade fishing on the Upper Coast, we got some really great areas that offer phenomenal wade fishing. Most of all of our wade fishing is going to be really key during the spring when all those fish are, you know, on the shorelines. But during the summer, you can still get on some good wade fishing action too. Most of the Sabine and Galveston Bay complex is going to be composed of mud flats, so the biomass of our fish go out deep in the summertime to get to that cooler water. And this is why we're always talking about fishing 7 to 10 foot of water this time of year. But down towards West Galveston Bay all the way to San Luis Pass, they can still offer some really good wade fishing in the heat of the summer, you know, because a lot of those areas are mostly sand. The flats in Campbell's Bay and other parts of lower Galveston Bay, as well as the western half of the south shoreline of East Bay, will hold good amounts of trout during the heat of the summer for guys that want to wade fish. And in Trinity Bay, the east shoreline from Hodges Reef to the Van Toon Islands can offer some really good wade fishing in the summer whenever you catch some easterly winds. The surf action should still stay good for wade fishermen as long as, you know, you keep that surf calm and keep that water green. But always remember to shuffle your feet or, you know, wear those Forever Last ray guards like y'all were just talking about for the stingrays. And then also, you know, keep those cuts clean, you know, make sure you don't get any bacteria. And then, you know, wade fishing is a really good time. It's always fun, and it can really put you, you know, right there amongst the fish. But you just make sure you're always safe out there. And there's a picture there of a summertime big trout caught while wading in lower Galveston Bay. So that's what you can catch. And then switching over to redfish, you know, when it comes to wade fishing for redfish, which we do a lot, you know, they're pretty plentiful in the summertime since they don't always leave the shorelines either. And you can find these redfish in the mud as well as, you know, the warmer water temperatures don't really mess with them that much when that mud gets hot because they can handle it better. So wading in front of bayous and out in front of, you know, different drains and stuff on an outgoing tide in Sabine Lake can be lights out for redfish this time of year. And in Galveston Bay Complex, the south shoreline of East Bay will be the same routine, focused around the mouth of bayous and, you know, different clamshell beds. So a lot of redfish still on the shorelines there. And then in West Galveston Bay, you can generally always find redfish in the grass on the north shoreline. Just hop out of the boat and, you know, cast the potholes in amongst that grass with small topwaters and rat-tail soft plastics rigged on a 16-ounce head. And there's always going to be a ton of stingrays up on that north shoreline of West Bay. It's always notorious for them. So, you know, really make sure you shovel your feet up there. But in Trinity Bay, the north shoreline up in the back, from the HLMP spillway to the mouth of the Trinity River will hold really nice redfish. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. So just get up there knee deep and throw topwaters or, you know, wake baits, and they'll be good. And that pattern's actually going to get better and better as fall approaches. So that's something you can pretty much from here on out. And there's a picture there of a friend of mine, Kagan Gibbs, hooked up with a nice redfish while wading knee deep. And then going offshore, you know, buddy Carl Weston from Salty Dolphin Charter said, since the red snapper season is over for the year and we're done with that, don't worry, there's still some options with the different varieties of snapper that you can still catch. Vermilion snapper, commonly referred to as beeliners, are, you know, a common target species throughout the rest of the year. And these beeliners can be found around the same bottom structure that you find your red snapper. With the beeliners, you're going to want to downsize your hook size and your weight, being that they're, you know, smaller species. So cut squid and small strips are going to be preferred bait on a 3/0 circle hook. And if you're under 200 foot of water, you're going to want to use a 6-ounce sinker. Another species you can target is mangrove snapper, and those mangroves can be caught a little higher in the water column than the beeliners or the red snapper.
So a good tack is just to pull out over that structure, throw some chum, and most likely if the mangroves are there, they're going to come up towards the surface, and you can just pitch to them. And doing this method, you're going to want to use about a 3-foot fluorocarbon leader with a 3/0 circle hook tipped with dead shrimp. And there's a photo there of a good recent trip lately with salty dolphin with a 5-man limit of beeliners and some amberjacks in there. So
quickly on the mixed bag, bub. Quick.
That's it. Well, you know, they're doing the same deal we've been talking about. Amberjack still going real hot, and then the Mahi bite, you know, the dolphin have been doing real good with Mahi jets and rig ballyhoo. But the kingfish bite's been a little slower that full moon as normal. But, you know, the pelagic bite should get hotter when that full moon goes away.
Tell me about the photo.
There's the boss lady herself with Donna Weston, Carl's wife with a nice Dorado.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to take a look at the hot spots, the CCA hot spots from the upper coast. He's saying trout, fish the wading and sand flats in West Galveston Bay, top waters early, and then switch over to plastics. And then offshore, vermilion snappers, underwater structure like rock piles, using cut squid, mangroves, use them chum and bring them to the top, pitching them dead strips.
We're there. Are you okay? You're breathing?
Yeah.
All right,
So
well,
Dave,
look at
you got to have the gallon of water.
Well, you got to bring bring a gallon of water for every dude when you go wading. It says before you get into the car, you can wipe all that sand and mud and stuff off your shoes before you get into your beautiful truck.
Thanks for coming and bringing
Good job,
us
Taylor.
food. This is
You
going to
guys
be
have a
great. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.